So we have his pitch to Hispanics, his pitch to African Americans, and also some news from Trump this week saying he regrets, quote unquote, some of the things he said while campaigning. Caitlin Huey-Burns, writer at RealClearPolitics, joins us from New York. I was going to use the animation to cough. It didn't work quite as well as I'd hoped it to. All right, Caitlin. You think about this, at some level you have a little bit of a new Donald Trump. I regret, speaking more from a teleprompter, these kinds of things. At the same time, 2 days after a new campaign manager, he says to African Americans, what the hell do you have to lose? Which is it? Is this a new Donald Trump or the same old Donald Trump with new people trying to manage his campaign?
Yeah, it seems like a little bit of growing pains in terms of this new effort by the Trump campaign. We were told that this new management system was meant to encourage Donald Trump to kind of be himself, how he was in the primaries, thinking that that strategy got him to where he is today, and kind of continuing that style, creating an environment for him to operate in that style. But we've seen, 2 or 3 different kinds of Trumps here, right? The one that's on message, talking about things that he was talking about earlier in the cycle, and also these efforts to reach out to minority groups, but really in a way that came off as offensive to some, and not really following through in terms of the campaign activity in reaching out to those groups. So yeah. I would say it still remains to be seen what we'll see from the Trump campaign. Yeah. Like always, you have to just wait and see what he decides to do.
You think about this shakeup and the messaging that's coming out of the Trump campaign. It's pretty far to the right of the Republican Party, especially when you think about Steve Bannon being tasked to lead the campaign. At the same time, you have Donald Trump saying, oh, I'm going to win blue-collar Reagan Democrats in places like Ohio, places like Wisconsin, places like Pennsylvania. Blue-collar Reagan Democrats is not the Steve Bannon crowd.
Right, and we're 80 days out from the general election, and at this point, after the conventions are over, you see candidates traditionally working on reaching out to the middle and working on reaching out to moderate voters from the other side of the aisle. And we haven't really seen that from the Trump campaign. There is a pitch, of course, throughout the primary season to white working class voters. That has been a key part of Trump's support. We've also seen that support diminish slightly in the polls, and of course support among various constituencies, especially those that Republicans have won in the past. White voters with college degrees, for example, are traditionally a big part of the Republican base. Trump is losing those voters as well. So you saw in that ad that he released this week, the first time he's running advertising in a general election campaign, that was an ad aimed at galvanizing and motivating the Republican base, right, not necessarily reaching across the aisle.
The base specifically on immigration. Take a listen to that ad.
In Hillary Clinton's America, the system stays rigged against Americans. Syrian refugees flood in. Illegal immigrants convicted of committing crimes get to stay, collecting Social Security benefits, skipping the line. Our border open, it's more of the same, but worse. Donald Trump's America is secure.
All right, a Clinton ad for Fair and Balance coming up in our next segment. But to you, Caitlin Huey-Burns, as I look at the Real Clear Politics page right now, Clinton is up in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, Florida, Iowa, Wisconsin, and North Carolina in the RCP average. Does that ad turn that around? As you said, it seems to appeal more to the base than it does to the swing voters.
That's a great question, Leland, and because we are so close, 80 days away from the general election, the question is whether Trump is able to reverse some of the impressions that he has left on voters already. It's a time that traditionally, we look to Labor Day as a pivot point of sorts when voters start paying attention, but this campaign cycle has been so saturated in terms of the information that voters are getting that some of these impressions might be baked in. And so because he's late on advertising, because the Clinton campaign has been advertising in key battlegrounds for several months now, there is a big question about whether Trump can make a new impression on some voters or change voters' minds. That remains to be seen. If ads like this continue, or if he introduces more advertising in other key states, or if he changes his tune a little bit in terms of the kinds of campaign events he has, that will be telling.
Well, and also to that point, exactly how many times he uses a teleprompter versus notes. Peter Doocy looking out for that at his event in Fredericksburg later today. Caitlin, Huey-Burns, we appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to see you.